You are tuned in to another edition of Americana Music Profiles, brought to you by Americana Rhythm Music Magazine and AmericanaMusicMagazine.com. I'm your host, Greg Tutwiler. Let's jump right in to the next exciting interview. Gary Van Miert fell in love with the early rock and roll sounds of the Sun Studio era in Memphis, Tennessee. So much so that he formed a band, the Sensational Country Blues Wonders, adopted the Ernest Tubbs style clothing, and started playing around his hometown of Jersey City, New Jersey. He has just released his first album of original material, The World Will Break Your Heart. Gary is our guest on this edition of Americana Music Profiles. Good afternoon, Gary. Thanks for joining us on the podcast today.
Hey, Greg, how you doing?
Good. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us today. I am talking to you in New Jersey. Is that correct?
Yes, I've lived in New Jersey my entire life.
Okay, awesome.
Well, my ancestors came here and settled from Holland and Czechoslovakia, respectively.
Okay, all right. When did your musical journey begin for you? Has this been a lifelong pursuit?
Well, it was pretty much a hobby for most of my life, and I started playing out professionally when I was in my early 50s.
Okay, wow. As a solo project or with a band of some sort?
Well, I play under the name the Sensational Country Blues Wonders, and I play with local musicians.
What?
Whoever's pretty much available.
Yeah. So what prompted you in your 50s to make this more of a hobby?
My work responsibilities lessened, and it was something I always thought that I'd like to do when I retired. So, I said, why wait? Let me, get all my ducks in a row. And, plus there was an amazing art and music scene going on in Jersey City and Hoboken. So I wanted to, take advantage of that.
Are you still working a day job?
No,
you did retire. Yeah.
Yes, I retired about a year and a half ago.
Okay, all right. So I listened to some of the tracks that you've got here on the current project. My interpretation, that feels a bit maybe rockabilly, honky tonk. Is that kind of that 50s, 60s Sun Studio kind of feel? Am I reading that right?
Absolutely. I'm a big fan. Elvis was my introduction to a lot of other artists. I discovered a lot of the great blues and country singers through Elvis's covers of their songs.
Yeah.
And I'm a big Carl Perkins fan. Anything that came out of Sam Phillips' Sun Studio, I adore.
Yeah.
So there's that, but there's so many influences. I mean, when I was 5 years old, I saw the Beatles on Ed Sullivan.
Cool.
That got me started, and then I started tracing everything backwards. I realized that the Beatles recorded 3 Carl Perkins songs, so I thought to myself, he must be good if the Beatles, did 3 of the songs.
Yeah.
So that brought me to Carl Perkins, and I kept tracing things backwards. When I became a fan of Carl Perkins, I started reading about him, and I read that he was influenced by Hank Williams. So
okay.
Went out and bought his records. So that's pretty much the process.
And I think I read that your first recording was actually a set of originals, and then on this new record, if I've got this right, is mostly, the first one was covers and this one is originals. Is that right?
Yes, the first record was done in 2012, and it was covers of old blues and country songs.
Uh-huh.
And this album is entirely made up of originals, 10 songs.
How long have you been a songwriter?
I took a stab at it in my 30s, and the stuff I wrote really wasn't that good. And I started writing again maybe 4 years ago. And, I guess through life experience and being exposed to more music.
Sure, yeah.
The results were much better. So,
was it how did you find the process of writing songs in a particular genre? Were you that intentional about it? Were you writing it with these 50s, 60s melodies in your head as you were putting these songs together?
Well, I've been performing covers of old blues and country and gospel songs for the previous 8 years or so. So it kind of came to me pretty easy. I was so familiar with how these songs were put together, and I've always had a passion for that music. I've always had a passion for Southern music. Hard to explain why, because I grew up here.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But I recently made pilgrimages to Memphis and Nashville.
Okay.
And New Orleans, and I just feel a connection to those areas.
Yeah.
The music that grew from those places.
Did you? Of course, music that kind of music in the 50s and 60s, I'm sure was nationwide, if not worldwide, anyway. But that particular style of music is not really native to the northern part of this country, I don't believe, is it?
No, but I think when I was in college, even though you couldn't find that music in America, it was available on European import albums. So I discovered it back then and started buying a lot of import records and got exposed to rockabilly, and it started with Elvis, the Sun Sessions, and then I started finding out about more obscure rockabillys, and then discovered Hank Williams and started listening to other country artists.
Yeah.
Buck Owens, Ernest Tubb.
Yeah, right. Yeah, all that really cool.
So, it all, and it was kind of fun to find all that music, It was an adventure, really.
Sure, yeah. Do you find that your audiences resonate with your nostalgic intention?
Well, I think I kind of give it my own twist. When I do a cover, I make it my own. And I think good songs are good songs. I think people always appreciate good songs.
Yeah. And there's some music that just never ages. It right,
always
of course. Yeah. And you actually do the whole outfit thing too, right? I mean, you kind of take the persona on with the music.
Well, I had fun, dressing up. Initially I wanted to dress for the stage, and a few friends, wanted me to kind of dress like Keith Richards or Johnny Thunders, and I thought, that's been done to death.
Yeah.
And I ended up in a Salvation Army, and I saw a cowboy shirt there, and the light bulb went off.
Uh-huh. Huh.
And just dressing like some of my heroes, people like Ernest Tubb, who wore these incredible outfits, mostly designed by Nudie on stage.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And I tried to do that as best I could.
I can imagine that it would be as much of a experience for you and your musicians as it is for the audience to bring out the costumes and the music and put that all together, and probably more than just a stage performance. I mean, it's probably a show, I would imagine, when you guys do that live.
Well, I've always been fond of entertainers. Some of the musicians that come up on stage and I dress better to clean out my garage. To me, you want to put a little effort in it to entertain people and give them something to talk about.
Right? Yeah.
And Jersey City and Hoboken it has this incredibly diverse music scene. There's no one sound here, so there's really a place for all kinds of music. We've got Zydeco bands and punk bands and all different genres here. So I knew there was a place for me.
Do you find that your music fits in a particular style of venue over another? Is it when you take this show out? Do you find yourself landing in similar places?
It's interesting. I started playing in bars. Of course, that's and I started doing other things for the community. And I mean, I would just say yes whenever somebody asked me to play somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's taken me some very interesting places. I played in cemeteries, lumberyards.
Oh my!
Art shows. We have an historic cemetery here in Jersey City, and they do concerts at the race funds.
Okay.
So I've played there. I've even played in Macy's department store.
Yeah. Okay.
So I love the unusual venues.
Do you find that the music crosses age boundaries?
I think it does. We have the music scene here is comprised of musicians from their 20s to their 70s. So we play a lot of street festivals and events like that draw a lot of people. So there are all ages there.
When you bring this music to the stage, do you try to educate at all? Do you, especially if you've got a younger audience, when you do a cover, do you do any of the background of the artist or the group as it was originally done?
Well, I don't do that on stage, but what I'm doing right now, I'm doing a program for the Jersey City Free Public Library, and because of COVID, because I can't play out any longer.
Right.
I started recording a program called The Sensational Roots of American Music, and it's a half-hour program I record at home here. And what I do is I sing classic country, blues, and gospel songs, and give people a little bit of history, do a little narration before each song.
So is it a podcast or is it video?
No, it's actually on their YouTube channel. It's and also my YouTube channel. So
okay,
you could just go to the Jersey City Free Public Library's YouTube channel to watch.
Okay, so you're actually doing a video presentation.
Yes, it's. I've done 5 episodes so far.
Okay, is that? I would imagine probably a lot of fun to do the research on those shows.
Yeah, it is, and also I've learned a lot about making videos. I do a lot of fun stuff with green screens and special effects. So it's an entertaining program as well as educational.
Sure, yeah, I would definitely want to make sure that we get a link out there for our audience to find that, because I think it sounds like it would be something that people would enjoy. Adding to this experience of understanding how an artist interprets this music, and it's we live in a time where a lot of people are nostalgic, and I think it's a good time for you to be doing this for sure.
So I've been told. It wasn't really a consideration. I just it was a hobby, and I said, I want to play the music I want to play. So I didn't really consider the implications of going out to a punk rock club in Manhattan and playing gospel songs.
Yeah, right. I can imagine.
But what I found out, Greg, was that people like good music, and if you do it authentically and you do it with feeling, they appreciate it.
Yeah.
Even if they're not religious, they love a good gospel song. Sure. And they'll sing along.
Yeah. Do you ever feel like you are a preservationist? Does that ever come to mind?
I never thought of myself that way, but I just wanted to really get this music out in front of people.
Sure.
I don't think a lot of, especially the gospel music, it's really an untapped genre, and it's really incredible stuff. It's what rock and roll was. It was a raw material of rock and roll. Elvis, not only did he hear country music on the radio and listen to blues on Beale Street, he also heard gospel music every Sunday in church,
right.
And that influenced sound too. So these are the cornerstones of rock and roll.
Right. And so technology is amazing. We've got access to everything, but so much of what it feels like roots and history, especially of music, is just kind of buried under everything else. And so I applaud you for having the passion to play this style of music and to mix in the covers and with your video show, even tell some of the stories. Without people with a vision like you have for this stuff doesn't make it into the next century. I don't think so. It's
Well, thank you, Greg. But I think technology has made it easier in a lot of ways because when I was in college and I wanted to find these records, it was a lot of work. We used to go to Manhattan. There were a lot of hello.
Yes.
Yeah, there were a lot of record stores in the East Village, and we used to go there every Saturday morning, and we'd have to go maybe to a half a dozen different record stores to find what we were looking for. Now you could just Google what you're looking for and listen to it in a matter of seconds.
Right. Yeah, and I agree. I think you have to know what you want to look for. I guess that's what I meant by buried. If you don't know what you're looking for, you don't know what to look for.
Right. Well, I've always thought of it as a puzzle. You're looking for all the pieces, and I look for clues.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones named their band after a Muddy Waters song, so I said, "Wow, that guy must be good then." So
Yeah.
So I said, "Let me check out Muddy Waters." So I bought Muddy Waters records, and that's been my process.
Yeah. Now the record itself is not out yet. It comes out in November. Is that right?
The record comes out on November 13th. It's going to be available on Amazon, iTunes, Napster, Spotify, Pandora, and a lot of other online distributors. I have a video out for one song. It just came out a couple of days ago. The song is called Privilege.
Okay.
And that's on my YouTube channel as well.
Okay. How far ahead past this do you look? Are you still writing? Do you envision that there's another one behind this one?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm not writing now. I'm pretty much promoting this and putting together the show I'm doing for the library. But I definitely, see myself doing another one, especially now. I don't know how much longer we're all going to be locked inside. So I'm definitely going to take advantage of that time.
Yeah, right. I would envision just globally that there's a lot of really cool music has been created over the last 8 months. I think once we do get back out, there's going to be a rich flowing of all these really cool new songs that people like yourself have been able to do when you can't do anything else.
Well, the good thing is, again, we're back to technology. I wouldn't have been able to do this without technology. What I did was I recorded demos of the songs, and I sent them to Nashville studio musicians who recorded the instrumental tracks.
Oh, okay.
And I recorded the vocals at home here in my living room, and then had somebody mix and master them. So I really didn't leave the house to do this.
Yeah. Okay. Wow, that's really cool. Yeah, and certainly a nod to that technology piece that you were speaking of earlier. It's that seems to be something that's happened for a lot of musicians, that people have been able to record pieces all across the country and then have them put together and have this really cool finished project.
Yeah, I'm very happy with the results. I think what I did in 2012 was okay, but this I'm very proud of.
What do you envision that being able to play this live looks like for you once we can all get back out into some of these live venues? Do you want to go on tour with it? Will it be more locally? How will that look for you?
It's hard because most of the musicians that I play with, have full-time jobs, and they're not going to be going on the road. Of course, I'm going to play locally when that's available again.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that using the internet, I could get this music out to a lot of people, and hopefully we're doing okay so far. We're actually getting played on a few radio stations.
Yeah, awesome.
We're played on an Atlanta, Georgia station, one in Richmond, Virginia, and another one in Princeton, New Jersey.
Okay.
So far, so good.
It's 50s, 60s kind of classic American music, but it also fits into that almost that cowboy Americana genre. So on the fringes, but still, it feels like it fits under that umbrella. So I I would imagine that as this gets out, I could see more people picking it up.
Oh, it's definitely Americana. I mean, we got played on a show called Americana Garage. So.
Yeah, there you go. So the record is The World Will Break Your Heart. Comes out November 13th. What's the best way for people to get a copy, pre-order, reach out to you, maybe dial into your show?
They can contact me at my email, which is my name, Gary_Van Miert @hotmail.com. I'm really not. I've done some physical CDs, but for the most part, it's going to be online. But if somebody wants a physical CD, they can contact me, and we'll work something out.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Gary.
I don't know. You know, people aren't really buying CDs.
I know. I know. I hate that story. I'm old enough to have had a huge vinyl collection and a huge CD collection, and I still enjoy both. And I wish that it was a medium that was still used to transport music, because I'm with you, Greg. I still buy records and albums, 45s and even 78s. So. Yeah. We just don't buy 8-tracks and cassettes anymore. But I hear cassettes are coming back, so maybe so.
Well, eBay is really a good thing too, because a lot of the Southern music was only released regionally.
Right. Sure.
And those records, weren't available here on the East Coast where I am. So, now you have access to records from all over the world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Right. Well, thank you, Gary. It's been fun talking to you about your music, and I certainly wish you the best with it. And looking forward to the more that comes as you begin to share some of the other stuff.
My pleasure. It's the Sensational Country Blues Wonders. The World Will Break Your Heart.
Let's take a listen to a promo clip of Gary's upcoming record.
The Sensational Country Blues Wonders. The new album is called The World Will Break Your Heart.
I'm afraid of every goddamn thing. I'm afraid of what each new day brings. I'm afraid I'm hanging by a string. I'm afraid of every goddamn thing. My baby stabbed me with a steak knife. She's headed to the big house you see. My baby stabbed me with a steak knife. Soon she'll be in penitentiary. It's a privilege to know all of you, to know all of you, to know all of you.
The World Will Break Your Heart by the Sensational Country Blues Wonders.
Thanks again for tuning in to this episode of Americana Music Profiles. Find us on iTunes at Americana Music Profiles and on the internet at AmericanaRhythm.com.